So Hanuman, should I start with the session? Should I share my screen and start with the session?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. No problem.
Okay, great. I'm sharing my screen. Again, give me a feedback if you all can see that. You guys can take a look at the LinkedIn, like Hanuman has already shared with you. So, perfect. Can you see my screen? Perfect. Okay, great. So let's begin. Okay. So I'm here to talk about. Hello. Yeah, I'm here to talk about career opportunities in IT beyond programming. So, fortunately or unfortunately, IT has been looked at as a programming and a coding job. We expect, or rather, that is a stage that has been set for all the students, all the freshers who pass out from engineering or any technical background. They should code. They should know how to code. But I personally believe coding is just a I understood that not everyone comes with the same mindset. Not everyone wants to be a developer. So, what can be done? What can be an option if not a development? So let's explore that together. Before I get into the exact presentation, here is the small disclaimer. It's not as such a disclaimer, but yeah, something that I want to tell you personally. That is, although I'm here to tell you what to do and what not to do in your career, there are many around you, your teachers, your seniors, your colleagues, or anyone is keep telling you what to do and what not to do. But my personal belief is do what interests you. Interest is so important that you have to do whatever interests you. If you do that interests you, it will be there with you, irrespective of your disciplinary, your field, your domain, or any degree that you have. Fortunately, what I'm doing is matches to my interest and matches to my degree as well. But again, that's not necessarily applicable to each one of you. So my personal advice to you is, although after my presentation, if any one of you come to me and ask me, so still I am convinced or I don't want to do anything in IT as such, that is also fine. That is also totally fine. No questions. Why interest matters? Because whatever you will choose to do with your interest, there you will enjoy the things and you will give your 100% in that. I believe if you want to be succeed in a life, you should do where you want to give your 100%. And of course, if you are doing something which interests you, here is a question that every one of us get at the end of the interview. Why does this job interest you? You definitely will have an answer to this question. So why not to do what interests you? I hope I'm clear on this point. Okay. So keeping interest aside for some time, I would like to congratulate all of you because I believe and I understood that you all from IT, information technology, and congratulate to everyone. Maybe you can congratulate yourself. Why to congratulate? What's different? What's great you have done? because you have chosen IT. And IT is deeply integrated in every other field. IT was one of the field before 2000, before last decade. But now information technology is part of every field, and that is great. It has opened up a lot of job opportunities, lot of career options, lot of problem solving, problem statements rather to solve. So it brings a lot of opportunities. I just mentioned few terminologies on the slide, which is like fintech, log tech, health tech. There are many like this. You must have heard of this. So fintech is nothing but a financial tech, right? So you have a field called as finance, where your accountant, financials, CAs are working with. But now a technology became a part of it, and it is called as fintech. Same with edutech. What we are doing right now is nothing but the use of edutech. We all are connected over some platform, and we are doing something in terms of education. So that is education tech. And we all know these startups who are working great in edutech, right? At the same time, we have a health tech, and there are many. There are many. So if you take automobile, if you take a mechanical field, if you go with the architectural field, everywhere tech is important. What does that mean? That means the IT, the students, the freshers who are coming from an IT background will have a lot of opportunities. But when I'm talking about the opportunities, here's my next slide to you, which says opportunities come to those who are prepared. So like, although I'm saying that there are so many opportunities lying out there already, but you have to be ready. You have to be prepared for it. You should know which opportunity I want to grab, which opportunity I should tap on. And then you can, if you are prepared, you can easily grab that opportunity. And probably my presentation or my talk will help you to get prepared for that. Let's see how it goes. So coming to a broader question now. I want to clear some dust here, so I put this question on the slide. Do you want to be in a development or a technology? I'm not sure how many of you really understand the difference between both of them. But to tell you here on this slide, development and a technology are two different things. Development is a simple software development, is a part of a technology. So you develop some software, you develop some application, you develop some web application. That is a development. But what is a technology? Technology is a broader horizon. It's a broader thing. It's a broader platform. And if you see my last line, it says a software developer or a software development field person can become a technologist. So if you want to be a technologist, you should start with the software development. And when I'm saying development, I'm not pointing to programming or coding as such. You should be part of that software development life cycle. Okay, I hope everyone understands or everyone has studied SDLC, right? Software development life cycle. I would like to see some response in the chat box if you guys have done. Because I'll be referring to SDLC a lot now. So any response in the chat box that everyone has learned SDLC? Yeah, I got few yes. Perfect. Let's go ahead. Okay. So before we jump in the opportunities in development in SDLC, let's take a look at software development track. I think this canvas will help you a lot to understand from where you can start your career and where it can head you to. It's quite a complicated canvas, but I'll help you to understand it. Just follow the color convention of a circle. There are 4 colors in the top, and in the bottom there is another. So in the first go, there is a blue, green, red, yellow. Just follow the blue, and you will see if you start as a developer or a tester to start with your career, where it will take you to if you follow the blue circle. That means the blue is a development, pure programming and coder job. Okay, if you start with that, someday you can become a software architect. Same with red. So if you follow red, there is a chance that you can become an agile Scrum. If you heard of a Scrum methodology of a programming, of a development, project management, you can definitely be an agile technical coach, and that's a great role to play in a development industry. If you start with green, you will become a technical manager. If you start with yellow stands for a testing, that is a quality assurance field, you become a quality assurance manager. And parallel to this, at the bottom, you have a business analyst in an orange color. If you start with a business analyst, you will become a senior product owner. Don't worry, we will definitely be discussing everything of them in detail, for sure. Okay, so follow my slides and you will understand what is there in each field for you. Okay, so here is a software development track. We all know the software development track. I just wanted to revisit it once because we are talking about the opportunities in software development track. It starts with requirement analysis and ends at implementation, right? So after implementation, you have a maintenance, you have a customer support, you have a bug fixes. All such things will fall after the maintenance. But broadly, there are 6 stages in a software development track, and we will be discussing about each one of them and the career, how you can make a career in that, what is required, what are the roles, what are the responsibilities there in each role, but not the code building, because we are not here to talk about programming and coding. So we'll skip the code building part only and we'll touch upon everything. So let's begin. First is the software development lifecycle or the SDLC process starts with business analyst. Who is a business analyst? He's a guy who is responsible for understanding the software business, not software selling business. The problem statement that a customer has came up with. For example, someone came to you and asked you to build a LinkedIn. He simply said that, hey man, can you build a LinkedIn for me? Now, if you are a business analyst, if your role is a business analyst, you have to understand is a problem statement, what he really wants, right? When he is saying LinkedIn, is he looking at the social network only? Is he looking at a career forum? Is he looking at a job portal? Because LinkedIn provides a lot of things. So as a business analyst, naturally you will have such questions to this guy. So that means a business analyst is a guy who should good in the communication, who should know how to communicate the things, how to ask the questions, how to get the clarity, how to analyze the things, because not everyone will speak your language. Not everyone can speak a programming or the development language. But you have to interview this guy. You have to ask him a lot of questions. You have to understand his pain point, and you have to take that entire data back to your team and you have to analyze that. How you analyze? There are methodologies to analyze the things. There are ways, there are softwares, there are tools available for this. Once you analyze that, you have to create an opportunity, you have to create a solution for that business. Do you all agree that LinkedIn is a business? How many of you feel that or don't see this way, that LinkedIn is not a business? How many of you agree that LinkedIn is a business? Yes. Probably many of us are using LinkedIn as a free tool. But believe me, LinkedIn is a huge business. Now, the guy who might have thought of LinkedIn, building a LinkedIn, he might have went to some software development team and asked them to develop this. So the guy who was sitting at the team as a business analyst has understood the problem, understood their business, and helped them to build a LinkedIn. So this is how all these things have started. Personally, I believe the job of business analyst is a great thing or a great job to enjoy. Because here, although you are in IT, you don't exactly code, but you manage. What do you manage? You manage communication with the client. You manage problem statements. You manage the scope of the project. You forecast the things, you forecast the budgets, you price the things. You are the guy who will help client to understand how much it will cost, how long the software development process will go. And of course, while you are doing all these things, you have to create a lot of reports. And those reports are not so fancy, but yeah, a report about current progress, report about how you utilize your resources, a report about the scope of the entire problem is what you will do as a business analyst. There are certifications available, by the way, for the business analyst. If you want to be a certified business analyst, as a skill, definitely you can look it at, and believe me, it's a great way to start career in IT. Okay, give it a shot, research about it, you'll understand more. Okay, if you guys have any questions, you can interrupt me in between. As I'm on my slide deck, I'm not able to see your chat box. But if any one of you has any questions, either we can have it at the end, kindly note it down at your end, or you can interrupt me in between. I don't mind to do that, but I don't want to break a flow in between. But definitely, if you can't control with that question, you can definitely come up with. Not a problem. Okay, so moving ahead, once the requirement has been gathered, once the requirements are there with the team, what do you do? Naturally, you go for modeling, you go for designing. So here, two things happen in parallel. Modeling is, personally, I'm not a modeling guy. One thing I do in a modeling is only and only data modeling, but there are a lot of things included in the modeling of problem statement, modeling of the scope. So you have to draw a lot of diagrams here. The flows, I know many of you have studied this. There are so many types of diagrams, right? You have a use case diagram, you have a sequence, you have activity, a lot of. So all these things will happen here. Is the guy who will do that. So we call them as a data modeler. We call them that a software designer. Not designer as a designer of visuals, but he represent all the requirements diagrammatically. So it's easy to understand to the developer, to the QA. So what all things he does? He shows us a data flow. If I take going back to the LinkedIn example, if on a LinkedIn someone fills the profile, someone fills the data in the profile, how that data will flow and it will go to someone else post, how that happens. If that guy says, or the user says that I don't want to share my data with anyone, how the data will flow then? Where it will go? How will secure that data? All such things diagrammatically will be represented here in the modeling. And it brings a lot of clarity. It brings a lot of, it will clear a lot of dust from the problem statement, from the scope of the project. So this step is quintessential. It's required to happen, to be there. Else, no developer can develop the things. Now, who should go for this job? Who should go for this role? The one who understands things with the graphs, with the charts, with the diagrams, who is interested to draw such things, who understands the scope, who understands the problem statement and can represent that thing back in the diagram, should go and select this role, should definitely explore such opportunity. Now, here is a twist with this role. Here, you should also be having a skill, or should also possess the skills of a business analyst, which we discussed on the last slide. Because if you want to represent that in a diagram, you need to have a lot of clarity on the scope of the project. Because whatever you will draw will lead to an entire development track. So the responsibility of this stage of the role is higher than any other. Okay. At the same time, there is a designing. Okay. Now, what you design here, and this is very emerging and exciting role right now in the market. It's called as UI UX designer. UI, of course, it's a user interface, and UX is user experience. So what this guy do? What this designer do? It actually designs. It actually he's a guy who sees the product before it actually delivers. Imagine a Facebook not even there, but the designer of a Facebook has actually imagined the entire Facebook on his mobile, on his laptop. That guy is a UI UX designer. Now, to touch upon the depth of this, these are two different roles. That's also possible. A UI designer is a different guy. UX designer could be a different guy, possible. Or one man can do both the things. That's also possible. UI is output after the UX exercise. So what happened in UX is maybe you all can take a look at any of the application that you use most, like a Facebook or a LinkedIn or WhatsApp. Whatever UI you see there, it is thought through. Someone studied entire user psychology and then created the entire UX, that the experience. If you see the Facebook, it gives you a certain experience. If you take a look at LinkedIn, although both of them are social network, but everyone gives you a different experience. That experience was designed, but are still getting designed by their designers with understanding their users. So if you are interested in that, you need some understanding of user psychology. You have to do a research on the users. You have to understand the visual communication, how button can look like, how it should be, how text should go up, how I can attract a lot of users to my application, how I can retain my users on my platform. All such questions will be answered by UI UX designer. Okay, and this is again an exciting role because, like I said, you actually develop the entire project or product here without delivering it. We call it as a soft prototyping. So you prototype the entire application here. That's how it goes. Are you all with me? Is it going too fast? Is it going good? How is it? It's going good, right? If it's too fast, if it's getting overwhelmed, let me know. I'll slow down my speed. I'll try to touch upon more depth. Let's give me a feedback. That's possible. Okay, so I'll move ahead. Once these things are there, we are jumping on a QA engineer. If you notice, we have skipped one role here, and you all know which role. What's that? Now we directly started talking about the QA engineer. We skip the development because we don't want to talk about the development here, right? So we skip that role and we are on a QA engineer. QA engineers are like a watchman sitting in front of your gate. They will not allow anyone to get in directly, or they will not allow anyone to go out directly. Means not allowed to get in, as in they will work hand in hand with the development team to understand the requirements. That's what I'm talking about, getting in. So they will understand the requirements of a software. At the same time, the development was happening. And they will make sure that whatever was there mentioned in the requirement, in the scope, and whatever was shown in my data diagrams are delivered. So they will cross-check the product against the requirement and the scope. If any problem, any imbalance is there in between, they will give you back, give the developers back. And we call it as a bugs. We call it as a faults, right? In software industry, we generally call it as a bug. So again, if you understand, a QA is a very exciting job. Quality assurance as a tester, I'm talking about a tester, right? It's an exciting job. It's an exciting role because you're not developing anything, but you're checking everything that has been developed with requirement. And here, you need to know the entire project scope. That means your role is again so important to that development process that if you say no, this cannot go out like this. The entire delivery can take a pause. If you say, yeah, I tested everything and everything looks good, and I'm certifying this to go ahead, then only that particular piece of a code or a module or a delivery can go ahead. So understand the responsibility and the excitement behind this QA job. Now, you must have heard of, there are two types of QA. One is a manual and another is automation. It's simple that, and it's self-explanatory. Manual QA does everything manually. If I want to test the Facebook, let's say Facebook has a manual quality engineer, and he's doing everything manually, then he has to go and check every functionality from the mobile phone, from the web. So he has to fill all the forms manually. He has to post something, he has to like, comment, everything he will do manually, right? Imagine how difficult task that would be, because Facebook is not a small application. It's a huge thing now. It has a lot of functionalities. It has a lot of features. So doing that manually will take a lot of time. So what is the answer to that? The answer is, whatever you do manually, just automate it. So if I want to, every time, after every delivery, every release, I want to see whether my comment section is working fine or not. While earlier I was doing it manually, now what I do, I'll do the automation of it. That means I'll write some piece of a code which will actually go on my application and comment it. If that comment is accepted, I'll say yes, the comment section is working fine. So that automation. That means the job that I want to do regularly, again and again, I'm automating it. Now here is the twist. If you want to be automation QA, you need to know certain programming languages, certain programming frameworks, right? There are tools available definitely in automation, like Selenium, Appium, Robotium. So many new tools are still emerging. But beyond the scope of the tool, if you want to do anything, you have to write the code for that. Because understand, a software is testing another software. So you have to build a software, right, to test your software. And that's automation. The great offering from automation is regression. I'm not sure how many of you have studied testing and the QA, but regression testing is very important. Regression is something that you test every other module while you are releasing a new module, while you are integrating a new module. So you will see that whatever was working earlier is still working if I'm integrating some new module. So imagine you have hundreds of modules already delivered, and now you are delivering 101th module, right? So what will happen? How it will go? What impact that new module will have on earlier 100 modules? If it has any impact, how I can test that? So that is a regression. So automation QAs are many times required to do the regression testing, because they automate the entire process of testing. Moving on to the next, product or the project manager. Now from here we started talking about the managers. Earlier this was more of an entry level things. Now I'm touching upon the managers. If you ask me, can you people be a manager? The quick answer is yes, you can be. The broader answer or the thought through answer is, you have to start your career as someone from the earlier role, and then you can jump on this role. I don't suggest anyone to directly jump on the management position, because you will skip some detailed learning from the industry if you directly jump to product or project manager. So don't do that. If at all you are offering something like this, I will still suggest that start with a role which helps you to be on the ground, doing every day in day out job, and then slowly emerging as a manager. That will teach you a lot of things. So what's project manager? I think you all know what's the job of project manager. He overlooks all the things. He has a bird view of all the things happening in his team. He takes care of activity. He takes care of resources in terms of everything. Technological resources, hardware resources, your human resources, how big team I require, who will do what skill set I require in my team. All such things comes from a project manager. He does the time management. He knows that what to deliver when. He decides which module should be integrated when it should be there, when it should be available for testing, when it should go to the customer. All such things will done by project manager. So what about product manager? So product manager is nothing but the project manager, but he is worried about what I'm building and why I'm building. Okay, he creates the roadmap. He defines the features about the product. Let's again take an example. If I'm talking about the LinkedIn, a product manager of a LinkedIn told them that we need stories. You must have seen the LinkedIn stories recently launched, right? The product manager told them that we need stories feature in our platform to retain a lot of audience on a platform. Now that has went into the development, and we all can see that feature is available on the mobile version of a LinkedIn, not on the web yet. I'm not sure whether it's available on the web yet, but I've seen it on the mobile. So that feature definitely be coming from a product manager of a LinkedIn. And then the senior product manager, then the VP of a product manager. There are so many levels up to it. But product manager in general understands the product, analyze the market for it, and then propose the features, create the roadmap for it. And he knows what he wants when. So maybe a alert of a COVID. Many softwares, many online applications started giving alerts on a COVID, what measures they are taking for COVID. So moment something like that happened, it was a product manager's job to say what he wants to do right away. So many of the product managers said that, we should skip everything what we planned, but deliver this alert right away, because we have to be agile enough to give that thing, show that message to our users. So it's a decision of a product manager. So project, like I mentioned on the slide, project is about how and when, product is what and why. Just try to understand this and you will understand both the roles. Again, product and project managers are great availability. These guys do a lot of heavy lifting. They understand the things before they get delivered. They understand the things. They see. They conceptualize everything before it is actually available in the software or in the application. So their job is again very much of a responsibility, and it should be aligned with the scope of the project. Okay, so in the entire software development track, here we are moving towards a tail, and the tail, as I'm starting talking about the tail, it's of course the release manager. Whatever you did in your on your desk in your office has to be delivered, has to be released to the customer or to the QA team or to the internal testing, beta testing, and then going ahead, it can go to the clients. So that's the job of a release manager. He plans the releases. He knows what to release when, which feature should go when. He knows the version number. Many of the Android applications, iOS applications, the version number. So he knows that. What to go with that version number, when. He manages everything. He configures the releases, because again, in today's world, we can automate the releases. We can do the automation of the releases. So he does all this job. He knows how to do it. You have to coordinate between different teams. Like you have a development team, you have a QA team, you have a business analyst team. He has to go and talk with everyone, coordinate with everyone to understand what they are doing and when he can release, right? He should know about the development and deployment scenarios. He should know the infrastructure requirement, the environment at multiple stages, so that he can configure his releases accordingly. And again, to get in this role, you need to have some background of a software development, but that's not necessity. If you have that background, it's easy for you to adapt that role. If you don't, in the start, you probably be clueless, or you'll wander around. But definitely, once you understand the trick, you can play this role very easily, because it is more of releasing something. When I'm saying releasing, let's understand it this way. Your product manager has conceptualized some feature. Your business analyst has understood all the requirements. Then everyone coded for that. The development has happened, QA have happened. But as a release manager, you understood that, oh, this feature cannot be released right now because it has some dependency on the infrastructure, where your business is not allowing you for that budget to procure that infrastructure. So as a release manager, you have a full right to reject that release. That's what the job of release manager. Or you can accept release with conditions. Something like that you will come up with. So release manager is more of like, release something, allow something to go out finally. Yeah, this thing can go out. This thing can be available to the general public use, is the release manager job. So like I said, I'm moving towards the tell. So release has happened. In parallel, while you are working on that, while you are developing everything, definitely this entire thing has to be hosted, has to be supported by a infrastructure, by hardware infrastructure. Earlier days, we used to have a lot of servers. You could see, and you must have studied, at least you must have seen some images of a servers which has a huge hardware stacks, huge RAMs, and the server were like your cupboards, huge cupboards, right? Those were the servers we have seen. But nowadays we don't have those. We don't use in-premise servers. Instead, it's been replaced by cloud. And I hope that everyone understands the definition of a cloud, so that I'm getting into the cloud architect role. This is again a very important role in order to scale your application, to know the requirements of your infrastructure requirement of your application. So cloud architect is actually required when you want to put your application out there on infrastructure, wants to keep it alive 24/7, making sure that the availability is 99.99% without any security flaws, without any downtime, and without spending a lot on your infra. That is what a cloud architect does. This is a skill, by the way. I still call it as a skill. You can quickly start learning any of a cloud offering, and and then you can go for a certification of this. Every cloud provider has their own certifications, and if you understood the services they're offering, you can be a cloud architect. It takes some time to understand every part of a cloud, because cloud is huge nowadays. It has a lot of services, but believe me, it's very easy in terms of managing, integrating, and optimizing the infra. Not at least as per the earlier days, where you had the servers, huge servers, and you were doing everything manually. Now it's on your click, so everything happens virtually. And that is what I'm saying. It's quite an easy job compared to earlier one. So that's what about cloud architect. Probably the last role that we are looking at, and I call this as a superpower role, DevOps engineer. Now, DevOps engineer comes with superpowers, because he does almost everything. He understands everything in the life cycle. Marginally, on a broader level, it is divided into two things. One is a CI and another is a CD. I'm not sure how many of you heard of this, but let me throw some light on it. So, CI is continuous integration, whereas CD is continuous delivery. What happens in this entire thing is you plan continuously, you code for plan whatever you plan, you code for that, you build it, you test it, and then you release it. So moment you release it, it goes out of your scope. It went ahead to the other side. That is the delivery because you released. Now, once you're released, someone has to deploy that. Once it is deployed, someone has to implement. Someone has to see whether it's working fine or not. That is operate. Once it started operating, now you have to monitor, and if anything goes wrong, if any problem is there, you have to give a feedback. Whatever feedback you get as a team, you have to plan on that feedback again. Whatever you plan, again followed by code, and the entire life cycle will again iterate as it is. So, what's the big thing about it? This is something that we do in general software development as well. So, what's the big thing? The big thing here is you do entire thing, all these steps automatically. Is it even possible to do automation of everything? Yes, it is possible. So there are tools available in the market which helps you to form a CI/CD pipeline given all the automations. Again, taking you back to the example of Facebook. Imagine Facebook is releasing some feature to the world. You all know how many users are there of a Facebook. If a feature they are rolling it out fails, has any bug, what will happen? How it will go? So what they have to do is they have to plan this entire thing. They have to do the entire automation so that everything what they have done has a log of it, has some proof at their end, so that if anything goes wrong, they can go back and visit that log stream and can understand why it's happening. Right? Most important is when you have a huge product like a Facebook, you have multiple teams working on multiple features, and then everyone has something to release. Now, you as a release manager, you as a product owner, you as a release coordinator cannot satisfy everything, cannot go and ask everyone to every team that whether they have done with the feature or not. Hence, you plan a CI/CD cycle. So every team has to undergo certain instructions, software development instructions, certain things that they will do, they will not do, and they do all this automatically. So there are tools called as Jenkins, Circle CI, Try CI. All these are CI tools, continuous integration tools. And then there is a CD tools which deploys. So GitLab has a deployment engines as well. So what they do is they actually talk with your cloud. You tell them that here is my cloud. For example, if I'm using AWS cloud, I can actually tell a GitHub that, hey, here is my cloud. Whatever I have given to you, please build that, test it against the test cases that are written, and those are of course automation. That's of course automation testing. It tests it. If every test case is passed, it takes that, build it, and deploy it to my Amazon cloud. Once that is deployed, I can go and directly start using it, or my customers can directly start using it. So imagine if you have to do this manually, no automation. And let's say you have done everything, you are done with your build, ready build, but your deployment manager or deployment guy is on a leave today. So you have to postpone your deployment because you don't understand anything about AWS cloud. You are not a cloud architect. So what you'll do as a business, you cannot afford to take a pause in a process. So here we do the automation of everything, and that's called as a DevOps engineer. And that, as DevOps engineer is touching upon every part of your software development track, I call it as a Superman, a superpower person. So here I'm done with these things, roles that we have in a software development track as such. Now there are other roles that I listed on the slide. Many of them are, of course, you must have heard of them, like a DBA, who is a database administrator. You have a network engineer. You can be a business intelligence guy, right? Of course, you need a security of this entire thing. Your application has to be secured. Your infrastructure has been should be secured. Your data has been, has taken measures for the security. You must have following some news in the market, the data leakage, right? Recently, there is an Indian app called as Coup. That application data is available on the internet right now because the data wasn't secured. So security and compliance is again a major role to play. You can be a cyber security guy who just take care of security of the entire application and the stack. So these are the other roles that you can play. But with the offering of a cloud, many of these roles are now, not in a mainstream. Like a network engineer, you don't require a network engineer if you are on a cloud. Cloud takes care of everything. You don't require a DBA anymore because the database servers are getting automatically scaled up and scaled down with the cloud. You can actually configure a cloud to say, if my traffic is at this level, use only 2 servers. If my traffic goes beyond this, use 4 servers. So you can scale up and scale down based on your requirements. So though these roles are not in the mainstream anymore, but still, if anyone is interested, you can definitely have a look. You people must have heard of a NoSQL. Whatever SQL database we learned were the SQL databases, the relationship databases. Now there is a concept called as a NoSQL where you don't have a tables. So if you don't have a tables, you don't have to manage the data anymore in a tabular format. The DBAs were required if you have to have a relations, right? Foreign key, normalization, relations between the 2 tables and all. But if you don't have a tables, you don't require a DBA even. So that is why these roles are not in a picture anymore, on a mainstream at least. Hope I'm clear on these points. I will change the gear of a discussion. Any questions now? Or we are going good? There are 2 things that I want to touch upon now. Should I go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so whatever we spoke was more about development track. Everything was happening, something to do with software code. Now let's change it to a different segment altogether. I don't know how many of you heard of a SMAC, and then the new emerging factor is SMAC V. So SMAC stands for Social, Mobile, Analytics and Cloud. With the emergence of a social now, everyone wants to be on a social network, right? Everyone is on a social network rather. So it produces a lot of data. It produces data about the user, their behavior, their day in, day out patterns of life, everything that is available with the social networks. So as it produces a lot of data, how we can leverage that data for something good? Of course, that social network and the use of a social network is possible because of availability of a mobile, right? Mobile devices. And mobile devices are like bring your own device because everyone got a new device. Everyone has a device. What they do is they install some app, and they can easily start using them. Now with this mobile, again, the application started producing a lot of data. If you analyze that data, that is analytics, you can find usage pattern. You can understand the user behavior. You can try to target that user based on his habits. For example, if I'm a guy who goes for cycling in the morning, that means I'm a health conscious person. Now a Facebook who understands this data can easily target me with the product like healthy products, right? So be a green tea, maybe some fruit salads, fruit shakes, food which is healthy food. because they can analyze my data, they can target me with the business. That is what analytics. And as you are producing a lot of data, it's a huge scale. You require cloud to scale up and scale down, like I was talking about it in earlier slide. So social, when you talk about social, it opens up a digital marketing flow and digital marketing segment to you. When you talk about mobile, like we discussed about user experience, user interface, it opens up that to you. Analytics brings you big data intelligence to it. And of course, like cloud, we already spoke about it. It's all about infra. So SmackV requires or has a lot of positions, a lot of roles like this. Content creator, whatever you consume on internet, maybe it's a Facebook post, maybe it's a blog post, maybe it's a LinkedIn post or image. It's nothing but the content that is getting created by someone. It is a thought through content. Someone actually understood you as a user and then created that content. Next time, whenever you are going on a LinkedIn or on Facebook, and if you see someone has written a good paragraph, just look at it as a content. And the content was written keeping you in mind. So there is a huge requirement of a content creator. And when I'm saying content, I'm not talking about a content only in English, not at all. Because the internet is available to every corner of this world now, there is a requirement of regional content as well. You must have seen a lot of applications are coming up with regional language support. Rather, they allow you to type and to read regional languages. Vernacular English is one of it. You can start writing content in vernacular English. You can start writing content in your own language. And believe me, still there are users to consume that content. And not users, huge user base who is ready to consume that content. So if you're a guy who can write content, maybe you can give it a shot. You can start maintaining your blogs. You can be a content writer for some business. Maybe there is a business who does something in organic farming. You can be a guy who can write for them on organic farming in your own language, so that the consumers of that organic farming products can understand the product well. And that will help that guy to sell that product. That is where content creators come in picture. Social media managers, I think we all know so many social media platforms available. So you require a social media manager to post regularly, to engage users, to analyze user behavior on your post, to retarget them, to engage with them and create a business opportunity. That is what everything social media manager does. On a broader side of a social media manager, there is a digital marketing manager. Now, what's the difference between social media and digital marketing? Social media only deals with social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Digital marketing, whereas, deals with social media as well, but at the same time, it also deals with search engine optimization. How my website can be ranked higher on a social media results. Search engine results. There are so many search engines available. Although we all are a big fan of Google, but there are other search engines available. How I can optimize my content, how I can make sure that my content is getting listed on a query result so that I can drive some traffic. Can I use some paid marketing tools? Can I do some paid marketing on the search engines and social media so that I can make my product available, discoverable to my targeted users? That is what the job of a digital marketing manager. And believe me, again, there is a huge requirement of digital marketing managers in the market. Maybe many of you can see it as a career opportunity. I'm not saying that everyone should do this, but if this is something that interests you, you can have a look. A small suggestion here. Many of us underestimate the job of digital marketer because we feel that it is simple. What I have to do is, whatever I do on a social media as a user, I have to keep doing that as a digital marketer. I have to do same thing what I do in my day in day out life is what my brand will require, is what my business will require. But believe me, it's not that easy. Targeting the product, getting the business out of all this platform is a challenging job. If you are good at strategies, if you are good at understanding your user behavior, if you understand your friend's psychology, how he interacts with these products different than you, then only you can be a good digital marketing manager. Now, more to the digital marketing manager, there is a growth hacker. These growth hackers are actually hack your growth. If you, we all know the controversy of TikTok, right? The TikTok was banned from India, and then many applications started emerging on the same line. They had the same interface, they had the same offering like a TikTok. How many of them are really succeed? The big question, right? TikTok was a market leader. Moment that was banned, that was removed from the market, Indian market at least, many applications started pointing to the same business model or the same application. But we all know there is no single winner available yet. Few of them did well, but there is no single winner. Why? Because they tried to hack the market of TikTok, but none of them could able to. So TikTok example is definitely making sense here, but if you see, it's a failure of the growth hackers of all other applications. None of them could able to hack the growth of the application once the TikTok was removed from the market. So you need a growth hacker when you want to have a hyper growth of your application. Today you have again in terms of a mobile application, today you have 10,000 downloads. In the next week you want to make it 5 times more, maybe 50,000. In the next week you want to go beyond 1 lakh. That is where the growth hackers come in a picture. What growth hacker does? There are a lot of platforms, a lot of opportunities where this product can be plugged in, where and how this product can be utilized. That is how growth hackers look at the things and start. It's actually a marketing job, but the great marketer can be a great growth hacker. That is what it is. And the important role, another important role in the SmackV is graphics assets manager. Everything that we see now has icons, right? Illustrations, vectors. Many things are getting communicated visually. If you go on any of the website, it has a nice created illustrations, visuals, videos, all such things. There the asset managers comes in a picture. What they do, again, they understand the psychology of users, and based on that, they create the icons, they create the visuals, illustrations. If you simply observe the change of a Google Meet icon, the Google Meet that we are using right now, the icon of a Google Meet has been changed, and at the same time, Google has changed icons of all their public offerings. Earlier icons were totally different. Now they are using their primary 4 colors in all the icons. Why they did this change? Who has initiated that change? Who was the guy whose thought process was that to bring such change? Right? It's of course a psychology that they understood, and the asset manager and the graphics designer has delivered that psychology with those icons. A small icon change even can make a business or can break a business. You can start observing these things and you will definitely understand why these roles are important when it comes to a business. So this was all about the job roles and the available market opportunities for you people. Now let's talk a little bit about technology. I'll quickly take you through the technologies that are available. Like in my earlier slide, I said that do you want to be a developer or a technologist? So here is a technology or the technology graph where you can select any one of it and you can be a master of it. And you will say that I'm a technologist, but for only a blockchain, for only cybersecurity, for robotics, possible. So here on a technologies canvas, you need to understand this technology as a one vertical. For example, business intelligence, artificial intelligence is a one vertical which is emerging like anything. You go anywhere, you will see a requirement of artificial intelligence or the offering with the artificial intelligence. What is it? How you can go ahead with that? You just can go and study that particular pillar, and you can be a guy who just take care of that part of a thing in the entire business. We all know blockchain, right? You must have heard of a lot of controversy happening around cryptocurrencies, and blockchain is underlying technology for that. Many of the companies are exploring blockchain for their offering. So that's a great market opportunity right now lying in the market. Maybe, and believe me, if you start learning blockchain today, it will hardly take you 6 months to understand and get into the blockchain. It's pure skill right now. You don't require a formal education for that. Some education, some technical education background, understanding of few programming languages, and the technology will help you with the blockchain. That's how it is. So I mentioned few here, but there are a lot of technology options available. If you place this technology and the development together, this is how it looks like. This is how you can place together and can see the entire business, technological business. So if you see, the technologies goes in a bottom. Blockchain, AI, IoT, quantum computing, analytics, all such goes at the bottom as a platform, as a surface. And on top of that, you have the architecture, technological architecture. You have a project development methodology, which is like SDLC, iterative development, agile practices, all such come as a methodology, right? Then on the right side, you have service management, like operations, customer support, then you have bug management, everything is in operations. Then on both the ends, on the left and right, on the left hand side, you have organizational challenges, team management, business goals, how you can show the hyper growth, how innovative you people are as an organization. All such goes on the left hand side. On the right hand side, there is a governance. So when it comes to the governance, how you are keeping your data, what are the compliances you are following, how you are utilizing your data, what are the patterns you are finding out of your data, all such happens. So this is how the technology placement happens in any organization. So you have to find your space in this. You have to understand how it is there, how and where I can fit in, which is the part excites me, from where I can start and from to where I can end. Because there is no end to it, you can keep learning, but at least you can keep a goal at what level, at where I want to at least be in. This is how it is. So I'm fairly done with my talk. This is probably the last information slide. After this, I have a small video, a small advertisement, how the technology is impacting our space. I have a small video on IoT. I'll quickly run through. Let's have a look. I'm not sure whether everyone can hear. Is it audible?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Let me check. Is it?
Sukanya, I just moved in. Nice studio apartments, na?
Studio? Mine's a 3+ study.
Oh, Wanna have a look? Okay. Nice. Nice color. Fit it to you. Intelligent decorator type. Turn on your imagination. Coffee. Innovation and you. Fulfill it.
So this was the simple demonstration of a technology. I hope everyone will agree that technology has impacted our life. So we have a lot of opportunities. So we can, create the opportunities for each one of us. If the IoT can bring such things to us, imagine what IoT can do and implement around us, right? So see it as an opportunity, have a broader approach to your, to your thought process, and then the sky is the limit in the technology domain, I believe. So yeah, I'm done with my presentation. If anyone has any questions, we can definitely take those.